Good morning and welcome to my favourite place in the world, the beautiful Lewa Wildlife Conservancy in Kenya, where for the past 2 months I've been on the ground working with the critically endangered black rhino. Now today I'm going to give you guys a crash course in how to tell the difference between a black and a white rhino. And let me give you your first clue, it has absolutely nothing to do with colour. The black and the white rhino have completely different feeding strategies. One of them's a grazer and the other is a browser, and this is reflected in the shape of their heads and mouths. So this is the first difference we're going to be looking for. So the white rhino is really the lawnmower of the savannah. It's a grazer, which means that its diet consists entirely of grass. Now because they have to feed low to the ground, they have a really long jaw and a very low slung head. They've also got this wonderful square-shaped mouth, and this basically helps them pick up as much grass as possible when they're feeding. But it's this square-shaped mouth which is where they got their name, the white rhino, from. It's thought that the Afrikaans word white, which means wide-mouthed, was mistranslated into the white rhino. So there you go, it really does have nothing to do with colour. In comparison, the black rhino is a browsing species. They feed on woody vegetation, shrubs and forbs. Now, because they don't feed on grass, their head is in more of an upright position, and they also have a shorter jaw. But this allows them to be able to stretch up and to reach vegetation up to 2 meters in height. They also have a prehensile upper lip, and this helps them to hook around vegetation and break off twigs and branches. Now, it's because of the shape of their mouth that they're also known as the hook-lipped rhino. But what happens if we're too far away to see the shape of the head and the mouth clearly? Well, when I'm trying to track a rhino, I will head to higher ground because it gives me a much better vantage point with which to spot one. However, it then means I'm far too far away to see whether they've got a square or a hooked lip. So now I'm going to be looking at the shape of the shoulder and the back. So first of all, the white rhino, well, it's got really large shoulders and it's got a small hump immediately behind its head. But other than that, its back is relatively flat. So if I see a rhino that's got a flat back, I know that it's white. But the black rhino does not have the small hump behind their head. Instead, there's quite a sharp incline up to their shoulders and then a nice swoop into the curve of their back. This is quite easy to spot once you know what you're looking for, but I must admit it did take me a while to get the hang of it. So you guys now know how to tell the difference between a black and a white rhino, both at close quarters and from a distance. But what if we don't see one at all? Well, we can still tell the difference between the two based on the indirect signs that they leave behind. And I am, of course, talking about their dung. Both of our African rhinos partake in latrine behaviour, and what this means is that they use communal toilets like the one behind me. And I know that seems a bit strange, but these toilets actually convey a lot of information about individual rhinos, from the age of the individual, their sex, and also their reproductive status. So if there's a female who's ready to be mated with, males will be able to tell this just from the chemicals in her dung. So basically, these communal toilets act as a social networking system here in the savannah. So I'm currently at a white rhino midden, and the reason I know this is because of the colour of the dung, which is much darker in colour when it comes out. Also, if we break it open, so you'll be able to see that there is literally just grass in there, and that's because of their diet. Now here I have the dung of a black rhino. So first of all, it's much browner in colour, and secondly, if we break it open, we can see that there are twigs and branches in there which have been digested. So it just has evidence of what they've eaten there inside the dung. Now I realise you're not all going to go and crack open a rhino poo, so the last thing we can look for is tracks. When looking at tracks, the first indication is size. White rhino are much bigger than black rhino, especially the bulls, which can reach up to 2,500 kilograms in weight. So their tracks are a lot larger. Now, the second thing we want to be looking for is the back of the track, because the heel of the white rhino has a much more obvious indentation than the black rhino, which is much shallower. That's pretty much it. The next time you're in the African bush and you see a rhino or the signs of one in an area, you'll be able to tell whether it's a black or a white rhino.